Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate you liking, commenting, subscribing. That really does help me out a lot. And I want to give you just one bait. If you're trying to get a little bit better at jig fishing, maybe you don't have your bait deal totally dialed in, one jig will cover almost all bases. So if I'm flipping docks, maybe I'm swimming my jig in water willow, swimming it around laydowns, flipping laydowns, any type of wood, whatever the situation may be, this jig will cover all bases. Now, it's not going to be perfect in all those situations, but it will get the job done. So this is a Dirty Jigs Matt Heron flipping jig, 5/8 ounce, very important, black and blue with a little bit of purple, very important, and then a green pumpkin zoom big salty on there, also very important. So this is one. It's going to be rigged up on fluorocarbon 100% of the time. This hook's just a little bit too small for braided line. I feel like you're going to rip this jig out of the fish's face with braided line with this smaller hook. But heavy fluorocarbon, as heavy as you want to go, as big of a rod as you want to go, this is going to be the deal in almost any situation I can think of. Maybe in current, it's not going to be perfect. That head's a little bit, or this weight of this jig's a little heavy, but you could still fish in current. Just there's different sizes, you know, that would probably be better in specific situations. But this is the all-purpose jig that I can pretty much fish in all kinds of situations. So when I get a little more dialed in, then I want to have a swim jig rigged up. I'm going to have one with a bigger hook, braided line. I'm going to have one with a smaller hook, fluorocarbon. And if I'm on just purely a swim jig deal, then I will just throw the swim jig. But what tends to happen a lot of times for me is I will find fish, let's say I'm fishing water willow, I find them flipping the water willow. Well, we have a front move through, rain, storms, and those fish really get on a moving bait. Then I will switch from this to just your natural bullet head style swim jig, and I'm not going to really swim this a whole lot. But finding those fish, I found them flipping. And maybe when I was flipping, I said, that looks good for a swim jig, so I can swim it through there. Or maybe I come by a dock and I've been getting bites, you know, with a moving bait, or I'm moving and, you know, I'm reeling it back to the boat and a fish comes up and eats it. Then I can start swimming this. So I don't have to totally stop what I'm doing, tie something else on when I'm figuring it out. I can just run this, go everywhere with this jig, and it's important because it's one of those staples that you just keep on your boat. If you're expecting a swim jig bite or not, you can still figure out the swim jig bite with the flipping jig. So this is a really good tool anytime you're around fish that might bite a jig. So I want to dive a little more into swimming a jig because there's a bunch of different sizes and they all have a place. So like if I'm fishing clear water, let's say I'm on Smith Lake, Highland Reservoir, clear water from up the rivers to down to the dam, and I want to try to get that swim jig bite going. You know, it's 60-degree water temp, swim jig is starting to become the deal. You have a lot of fish that are pre-spawn, about to spawn, and they want one big meal before they go and do that. I will go up to like a 5/8 ounce swim jig or a 1/2 ounce swim jig, black and blue, green pumpkin trailer. But with that heavier weight, I can really fish that fast. So I don't want those fish to get a good look at it. I go up to that heavier swim jig. Now, if I'm fishing a place that has dirty water, maybe less than a foot of visibility, I still want to be throwing a big hook on braided line where I can really fish it quickly, burn it along the top. But I'm going to go down to that smaller size because I want to keep it in their face and make it go really slow. So I'll go down to a 5/16 ounce if I'm in that dirtier water, and then anything in between, depending on the water clarity, maybe I go up to a 3/8 and just play with that size because there is going to be a perfect size, a perfect speed that those fish really key in on. And if you just think, well, I've caught them on Smith Lake with a 1/2 ounce, I can take that 1/2 ounce to this dirty water, you're going to be reeling it too quick. It's going to be moving too fast. You're going to have fish just follow it, track it, try to bite it, not get it, and you're not going to get nearly as many fish in the boat. So very important to play with all the sizes. And an important thing to remember also is that when you're flipping a Texas rig, let's say a 3/8 ounce weight, or you're flipping a 1/2 ounce weight, that's not equivalent to a 3/8 ounce jig or a 1/2 ounce jig. You know, a jig has a lot of things on here slowing this down. So this 5/8 is going to fall more like a 5/16 ounce Texas rig. You know, so when you go down to a 3/8 ounce jig, that's going to fall more at the speed of like a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce Texas rig. So just because its size of this jig is, you know, the size of a bullet weight that you have in your tungsten box or your tackle box, they're not going to fall the same. So you got to really just watch the bait, try to understand that there's a lot of stuff holding this jig back from falling. It's going to fall at a lot slower speed than like a 5/8 ounce bullet weight. So you got to play with the sizes, but there is a perfect size for every type of scenario. Swimming a jig, flipping a jig, whatever it may be. You got to learn those things. Very important. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.